Welcome back and welcome to Talking Point. We're looking at internally generated revenue of states. What are they doing wrongly and how can they do it better? We showed you a table. We hope to show you that table again to show you the different figures that each state generated in 2012, 2013 and 2014. And I even have a further breakdown of the table. You have the payee in 2012, you have the direct assessment tax, road taxes and other revenue, and it gets to a total for 2014 and 2013 and 2012. But we're taking this discussion further in a more, is not a new face to global business, is a lawyer and development analyst, speaks very passionately too. Tochukwu Ohazurike. Tochukwu, welcome again to Global Business.
Thank you very much.
Now, you've seen the way states have been complaining. I'll start with you, General. We've seen the way states have been complaining, and right now, the center has to come bail them out. People have been asking these questions. I know as long as I have been a journalist, people have been asking, what are states doing for themselves? And we have the figures now from the National Bureau of Statistics. So we are sure that they are not totally idle. They are at least generating some money for themselves. But in your own view, after seeing these statistics, do you think they are doing enough? Now, Tochukwu, is it the laziness of governors or the fact that they are not thinking out of the box? Because we see the governors coming out, Comrade Oshomole of Edo State is leading a fight against the former minister, saying that she mismanaged the economy, the excess crude account. But you begin to ask yourself, should that be the major challenge, where his own state did not even make any returns to the National Bureau of Statistics, even for the year of 2014, as internally generated revenue?
Well,
does he have the moral standing to really condemn someone else for mismanagement?
The truth is, if he doesn't do this, attention will go to him. So having done this, he shifts attention to another area. So let's still play the script he's playing and not focus attention on him. But I think the issues that here are that, one, the governors are not doing all they are supposed to do, and two, there are a lot of legal constraints to issues about development in Nigeria. What are those legal constraints? Because of the timing of the discovery of oil in commercial quantities into Nigeria, the laws were made tailored. We have a natural resource called crude oil, and everything that was done in Nigeria was tailored towards crude oil. There are other resources that will give us much more than the crude oil. So if we liberalize, these are sets of laws that were made out of fear that, the crude oil is only in one part of the country, so we must make laws to tap into this crude oil. If we liberalize these laws, a state like Nasarawa, with every solid mineral in commercial quantity, can stand on its own, but it cannot today, because our law says the federal government, while the state is in control of the land, whatever is under the land belongs to the federal government. So the Nasarawa state government ordinarily cannot tap into the natural resources it has, especially the solid minerals.
Okay, so there are legal implications.
There are legal implications. So and that was done targeted at the oil in the south, forgetting that there are also other solid minerals. If you ask any child in secondary school or even in the primary school, which state produces lead, they will very quickly tell you Zamfara. Not because they were taught in school that Zamfara is the state that produces
because of the popular lead
because
poisoning.
of the popular lead poisoning in Zamfara. Everybody, lead poisoning, and people started asking, what's lead? So it means that people were illegally mining these solid minerals and making profit, and the government was not taxing them because it was illegal. Government cannot go and tax an illegal business. So these legal implications, the government has to sit down and look at them.
And these are constitutional.
That's why I say the government, because there has to be a bill to the National Assembly before that can. So the government has to take a bold decision and step and say, sorry, there is oil in the south. There are other resources in other areas. How do we do this? Now, when that is done, when that is done, you can now say, okay, let's lease our right to a state to be mining the solid minerals and pay to us royalties, I'll pay tax to us. That can be arranged. But until that is done, that area should still be pending, and Nigeria will be suffering from the underdevelopment from that area. Now, how I said governors, some of the governors are lazy, truly. Apart from the solid minerals, where are the granite pyramids we used to see in the north, in Kano State particularly? On our Naira notes, you still see some of those pyramids, but I've not seen them before. I've been to Kano severally, and I want to see them. A lot of young people want to see them, but they are no more available.
Maybe they are no longer available because they are now going into factories to produce things like peanut butter and others.
If you produce enough, you produce all the peanut butter you produce, and the granite pyramid.
I'm just making an excuse. I'm not saying, even though I haven't bought any of the peanut butter.
Where is the cocoa in the south? University of Ibadan was built with that. Where is the palm oil in the south?
The cocoa is now chocolate, you know.
They are not being produced. We bought all our chocolate. Where is the palm oil from the southeast? Those things are no longer there. The governors are not interested in long-term investments. All they want to do
we
is
see them coming on television day by day and talking about, I remember when one of the governors in the southeast came out and said, oh no, the country, this state used to be so rich in palm oil, and so we are going to privatize this company, and so we are going to make a lot of money in palm oil. And in 4 years' time, I didn't hear the story about the palm oil. It was at least he's come back as governor again. And we are still waiting to see that state produce so much palm oil. And they come to television every day and talk about what they want to do, but we don't see the results.
If you check the company when the privatization of Adapalm was done, if you check the company and the technical competence of the company that bought the Adapalm, you will discover that the man sold Adapalm to himself. So that's just what happened, and that's what happens in very many other states. You sell the company; it's a common heritage. You sell it to yourself. You arrange a company, a front company, and they buy up the something, and that's all. So that's what has happened. Adapalm alone can feed the entire Imo State. The Adapalm can sustain the economy of Imo State. But today, you don't even find it. It doesn't produce a liter of oil. The governor, he should take pressmen and show them what is being produced there. Nothing happens there. There is a poultry farm established in the 80s by Simon Bakwe, the first executive governor of Imo State. Avutu Poultry. They said they were privatizing it, and that's how it went. That poultry alone can supply all the meat needs, dairy needs of Imo State. Where is it today? So governors are not thinking outside the box, and another legal issue is this area of, at the end of the month, Commissioner of Finance go to Abuja. Some governors have booked 6 months in advance. They've returned ticket of their commissioners of finance to go to Abuja and sit in FAC and share the money. That share the money policy must be stopped. They are crying. There is 409 billion that has been shared. One thing people must understand,
which is actually a far cry from what is usually shared, because usually from 800 billion, 900 billion. That
because there is a shortage. Remember, the governors are going to seize the allocations of the local governments. They will seize them. We did not succeed in getting the local government autonomy in the last constitutional amendment, so the governors will seize these monies and they will mismanage them as usual. So there is this vicious cycle that we must stop, and there are legal implications to this, because we've just started the cry. Next month is going to get worse. In August is going to get worse. In November is going to get worse.
And by December, even with the center helping out.
With the center helping out, the same center that is helping out has just told us that there's an empty treasury.
There's an empty treasury.
So,
but where are they helping out from? If there's really an empty treasury?
Maybe the definition of empty doesn't mean it's been swept. It's been swept clean. It's not yet been swept clean, but just the crumbs, put them together, help out. Good. But how much of this help can they give beyond this month? Can they give help next month? And until the governors start looking inwards, how do they have to look inwards? They have to look at agriculture. They have to look at tourism. We have a Yankari Game Reserve in Bauchi. We have Obudukato Ranch in Cross River. These are issues that there is one waterfall in my village, but people just go there, children just go there, take their bath and go away. Nothing happens. It doesn't yield a coin. But that's one thing. And the healing nature of that area is such a thing that if investments go on there, you see the white man will come and spend his dollars there, but nobody will do that. So the governors are not interested. They are interested in Commissioner of Finance. How much did they share? How much did you get? And that's the main problem. Until we stop that policy of sharing money, nothing will happen.
General, are these governors really crying more than they bereaved? Because for the last 1 month, believes that some states should actually merge to become one state. What is your own solution or your own suggestion for a solution for this? Even though that would be political suicide for some people.
Well, I have a view here, and that view is many of these states are not viable, but all the states are viable. Why did I make contradictory statements? They are not viable because of the kind of leadership they've had. The position of the newly elected governors are quite different from those who are on their second term, because 4 years ago, who are not in this bad state. So if a governor has been there for 4 years and his state is this bad state, that governor has a lot of questions to answer. But because of the accesses to the media, they paint the other picture for us, for the public to see. Now, for you to get your taxes from the provisions the Constitution has made for how states can raise resources, you will discover that it's only the payee tax that works. Other types of taxes don't work, because it's as you are paying the civil servant, the government takes their tax before the salaries of the civil servants get to the civil servants. Now that taking, you will notice that after that there is nothing else and if you cannot tax a people you have not empowered. You can only tax people you have empowered, and most of these governors don't empower their people so they can tax them, and they have failed to bring the informal sector into the formal sector. How do I mean? That woman that is in her farm in the village, she goes to her farm, she uproots her cassava, she comes to the market, she sells it. The other one brings her yam, she sells it. Where do they pay tax? They may not be paying any taxes to anybody. You come along our highways, you see people keeping their wares on the highways, and they are selling them, and they are making brisk business. Nobody pays tax on those issues. Now that is the informal sector. But if the government brings this informal sector into the formal sector, government will know that they are doing business there, government will tax them. And government should empower them first. Because if you don't empower these people, you cannot tax them. And that's the major problem these governors are having. Now, for the issue of the, creating of more states, let's not go there for now. The economy of Nigeria as it is, and that of any state in particular, cannot sustain the idea of creating a new state. So let us keep that in abeyance, KIV on the file, and move forward on other issues. But there are other things in this data from the National Bureau of Statistics. There are states that when you look at the amount they have generated, you begin to wonder. Akwa Ibom State, for instance, it receives the highest amount in the 13% derivative. It's supposed to be the richest state in the country. But if you look at the IGR, you see 15 billion.
15.6 billion.
Yes, it shows you that the pictures they are painting for us are not what it really is. So now it's just that somehow the Osun State Governor's own is the most pronounced about the states that are bad. I agree, but it's still very bad. And you now see that if the governors actually are afraid of the people, the major problem is that the people have not agitated and put pressure on these governors to the extent that the governors become afraid of them. They are not yet afraid of the people. Otherwise, a governor in that condition will not be running for a second term. Otherwise, many governors who have not paid still won elections as second-term governors, and they are back. And the same civil servants who are complaining today voted for them. So they are not yet afraid of us.
Apparently.
They are not afraid of us. If they were, things won't get this bad. And Nigerians must continue to put pressure, do the advocacy, until these governors become afraid of us. If they are afraid of us, my second tenure is not guaranteed. These governors will sit up. And we saw in the last election, because towards the election, it was getting clearer that there could be a change in government. Even in those last few days, people sat up just to see if there could be any amendment to sustain themselves in power. It happened the way it happened. Nigerians must key into that ideology and continue to put pressure on this government now, before any appointments are made, so that even while the appointments are made, whoever is appointed will know that there is no guarantee of staying in office if you do not perform. Let them not just share out bags of rice and wrappers for the women.
Like I just heard that a state government the state governor donated 8,000 goats to the widows of his state. But let's take your tweets now. At that Ozide says that economy is bad now because of salary has not been paid and pensions to the pensioners. Why is the economy bad? You're asking a very, very pertinent question that every other person is asking. Now, Platinum Sons, that's from AZ Kings 2000, says that states generate more than they have returned. Lagos was fortunate to have a proactive governor in Babatunde Raji Fashola. Create more, get more. That's from Eze King. Now, Omobola Babs, CFR, he says the truth is many states depend so much on the federation account, and its effect is what is obtainable now with cash mess occasioned by a meltdown. From Lester Egaga, he says that we need a national conference on how to diversify our economy.
Yet another national conference.
Yet another national conference. Omobola writes again, until the states look inwards and develop mechanisms through which extra incomes can be made to augment whatever comes from the federal. Olashukbo Sunday says that, but the question someone needs to ask is that apart from taxes, can they generate money from other sources? Well, you've heard General list out the sources that are constitutionally stated that they can get money from, and most of them actually around taxes. Abiodun Awoni says that states are expected to work on the natural resources in the state and also work on internal generated revenue. NAF says that these governors should learn how to catch fish rather than always asking for it. Femnovsky says that apart from boosting the IGR, the governors needs fiscal responsibility, which of course Mr. President has also talked about. Let's also begin to run our states like businesses, but with corporate social responsibility. Hetty Mark Robinson says the fact is that the right people are not in government. If not, why will states like River State owe workers salary? Val Chikezie says Lagos State case is peculiar based on its geography, firstly, before its management. He says Lagos State, I think he's trying to say don't praise Lagos State too much because it's peculiar based on its geography before you now talk of its management. But many see what is happening to the country right now as a blessing rather than a curse. Because on the other hand, many people saw oil as a curse to Nigeria because people left where we were supposed to, the other aspects of the economy were supposed to develop and faced oil. Now they say that oil is failing us and they see this as a blessing rather than a curse to Nigeria. What's your own view, General?
Well, that is exactly what I said in my opening statement. When I say dependence on monoculture economy, total dependence on oil is no longer sustainable and should go for good. So that situation is perfectly what I expect for us in this country. I won't say forget about oil, but I would rather advocate that whatever revenue we have from oil after this mess has been cleaned up, we should use the oil resource to develop infrastructure, in particular power and road network, rail, and all the network connection be interstates, so that once that is done, agricultural produce can move from the hinterland down to the cities, as we had in previous administrations. They have attempted that, but somehow it didn't go through to the end.
Okay, I'll just use this last moments of the program to read more tweets because it's an interactive program and we try as much as possible to get more tweets. We'll get that as I read the tweets. Probably also we can show you many people are asking for that display of the IGR for states for 2014 again, and Fatcom is saying please display it again, so we'll have that displayed on your screen now. Awoni Abiodun says states are expected to work on natural resources in the states, and also Alade Kazim Bello, it says Osun labor force are overbloated, they need to reduce them. Now Olowo Emmanuel says that the government cannot tax who they have not empowered. Dax Oxide says Lagos State is doing well than any other state. Yeah, that's right. Omogbawo comes again, says state government should dispose of their private jets, make our roads motorable, fly commercial airlines, and curtail excessive spending. Somebody is already helping states to cut their costs. Fagbemi and Johnry says other states should learn from Lagos State. So now you see the way it is, the way the states have what they produced during the last 3 years, 2012, 2013, 2014. Chikeze says they are all focused on federal money, natural resource exploitation, and management of their civil service is not being looked into. In 30 seconds, what is the way forward? You have given some suggestions on the way forward, but just wrap up in 30 seconds. What?
Many of the governors should change their economic models and think outside the box, empower the people and tax the people. You cannot tax a man you have not empowered.
Empower. That's what somebody said here. You cannot tax a man you haven't empowered. General, last word. 30 seconds.
Empower the people. Eschew wastages. And use resource to avail the people with enabled platforms, economic platforms, to be self-sufficient and productive. That way you can tax them, and that way the economic of each of the states will become self-reliant.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, General,
Thank
for
you.
Coming on Global Business. And of course, Tochukwu Ohazurike. We've been speaking with General Halidu Abdulmalik Halidu Giwa. Abdulmalik Halidu Giwa. He's a retired general and he's an economic analyst. Well, he's analyzed the subject of making the states do more for internally generated revenue. And of course, our lawyer and development analyst, Tochukwu Ohazurike. Thank you very much again for coming on the program. I want to thank you all. Those of you who joined us by tweets, came to our Twitter handle. We couldn't read your tweets today. You can still go to Global Business on AIT and leave your messages on our Facebook page. That's Global Business on AIT. My last word is maybe the governor should stop crying and start thinking out of the box. I'm Imewari Uhiobokai. Let's do this again on Monday. Remember, there's no business